What's good, everybody? My name is Alckemy, and if this is your first time to the channel, I'd like to give you a warm welcome. Up above in the middle of the screen, there is a link to my website that has this pack that is available for free called Abhorrent Mech, and today we're going to be using a sound from here, specifically Alckemy 105, in order to create a transitional sound that is like this. It's not that complicated, and I will be going through the gist of it in case if you don't want to download this pack or you want to use your own sound. But before we get into that, I would really appreciate a like, follow, subscription, all that stuff, especially since I'm getting so close to 5K. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about this. The main source sound that we used was obviously a sound that I made, and it sounds like this. And so what you'll do is you'll go and grab this sound and throw it into a sampler like so. And I'm going to be using some features that are specific to Bitwig, but if you have Ableton or any other kind of sample-based thing, then you can still just do this with the pitch. But because of one of the features called the speed within this granular mode, we're able to manipulate both the speed and the pitch. So before I get into that stuff though, the main gist of this is automating everything to the pitch riser over time on a single line. And so if we look at some of the automation that we have, you'll notice that everything is kind of on a linear path. And really it's just kind of like a choice of effects from here to create some interesting stuff. We'll talk about the reverb in a second, but long story short, it's everything just being modded to have this ever increasing intensity of effects over time before we get into the finisher. So let's turn off all of this stuff and we'll kind of just go one by one. It's going to be significantly more quiet, so sorry. And on the sampler itself, what I've done is thrown this into loop mode and started this from the beginning of the sample, so it sounds like this. Now, in some cases, this already sounds pretty cool, and you can actually use this in a lot of different ways, but I just kind of found that this was the one that I preferred. So what I'm actually doing is, over the change of time, I am automating the pitch to start going up, and then I'm also automating the speed where it starts at 0. You'll see here that it starts at 0, and that's what's also helping this play back quicker. If it's in texture mode, then regardless of the pitch, it's always going to play at the slave of the speed, and that basically means that I can play any kind of pitch that I want to, and the speed will stay consistent, contrary to a classic sampler. So because of that feature in Bitwig, we're able to manipulate both the pitch and the speed to have a little bit finer sense of control, which to me is advantageous in this way. You'll also notice that there's a notch filter right here, and that's kind of being automated up above as well. So again, this is what this sounds like. And then at the end, I'm kind of dropping everything off with the speed here, so that way it almost sounds like it's speeding up, kind of like an engine, and then slows down as we jump into hyperspace, or whatever it is that you want to imagine yourself doing. So the next thing that we have is very simple. It's just reverb, and the only thing that I've automated on this is the mix. So if you take a listen to this, I'm doing a couple of cool tricks right here. So the first thing is I'm starting from a really wide reverb, and over time it's ever decreasing. But once the sample ends, because we still have a little bit of tail captured, I can kind of blow this all the way up to 100% before we drop it back down. So it almost kind of seems like there is this like choir thing that happens at the end. And it's kind of a neat little trick that you can try out sometime on your own. After that, it's pretty simple and straightforward from here on. It's just a few more effects. But next up, we have a pitch shifter. If you guys have been watching my streams, you know you might have seen me do this trick before. But for the most part, just having a pitch shifter from all the way down to its root note that it's playing at, and then doing the same thing with the grain size here, and then pulling it back down, kind of gives us this effect. Pretty self-explanatory. Next up, we have a ring mod, and this is doing a lot of work. Ring mods are also, man, they're super cool. This is like one of the biggest things that's gonna help you get that kind of like charging power up, kind of like Samus vibe, right? So what you'll do is you'll start from very low, and then again, just kind of pull it up, and you'll kind of have to do this a couple times to figure out where to get it right because of the speed of the oscillator. And if you just listen to this, then you'll kind of see that it starts to have this very fast kind of like oscillating motion. And this is kind of like one of the biggest things that help us have that kind of engine feel. Everything else after that is relatively stagnant. And basically after that, we have a chorus that looks like this. And then we have an OTT that is usually just the same setting that I always do, which is just leave it at 50%. And then this right here is just making sure that everything at 140 and below is in mono. And then finally we have some glue compression to make it loud. So from here, if you just play that, this is what it sounds like. And this is a great instance or a great effect that you can use on just about anything if you're trying to create cool transitions. I have an entire video on transitions, by the way, but if you're looking to create something that's a little bit more interesting, or you're looking to do something that is kind of just impress somebody with your sound design of your transitions, then you can use a skill like this. So that's pretty much it for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Go get that free pack of Abhorrent Mech. Again, it's just an awesome stuff, and I've used a ton of these samples in my own production already, and I think pretty soon I'll probably have another kind of mechanical pack coming along the way, but it's going to take some time. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys. Be sure to like and subscribe the video, and I'll see you in the next one.